Online's daily rugby debate show. We've been to the captain's run, and Wales, we've managed to pick up a stray.
I pulled him off the street, Ben. I said if I was walking down Westgate Street today to avoid me, he famously didn't avoid me, and here he is.
There we are.
For those of you who don't know, Daily Mail rugby reporter?
Yeah. Not correspondent.
Not quite there.
Not quite there.
Will Kelleher, congratulations, first of all, nominated for an SJA Rugby Award yesterday.
Thank you. We quite like seeing someone different, don't we? But when you actually look at the team written down on paper, I think it looks quite strong. Obviously, George North is winning his 93rd cap, I think, for Wales, but only I think maybe the 5th or 6th time he's going to play.
4 starts in the centre before.
Yeah, so that's going to be very different for him and for the team as a whole. But actually, I think it is quite a strong lineup, and in a rare turn of events, they've got quite a strong bench as well. I mean, there's years gone by, they haven't had an amazingly strong bench, Wales, but that looks pretty good. They've got a lot of options and cover a lot of positions off the bench.
Yeah, to me it's very much a legacy of the last 3 or 4 years of the Gatlin regime. I think they went to New Zealand in 2016.
Yeah.
They're kind of midweek team at a tough old time against the Chiefs. And I think there was a decision that we've got to look to get more depth, more strength and depth.
It's got the no regrets plan, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, there's a book called that.
So heard about it.
Yeah, I heard about it once or twice. So the idea being that you maybe not just look for 2 quality players with 3 in each position. No, if you look at the scrum half now with Rhys Webb coming back, you lose Gareth Davis to injury, and you've got a player Rhys's experience coming in. So this is the idea, and I think in most places in back 3, the back row, you have got a huge amount of competition. As we say, the one that's been hard hit is the centre, because you've lost Jonathan Davis for the centre, John Fox, Hala Hollow, who was coming on the scene, gone for the season. You've also got Owen Watkin injured. Scott Williams has had his injury issues. So it has been, the big focus has been on the centre, and I suppose a lot of people have been interested to see how those 2 centres, because obviously Hadley Parks, vastly experienced now, and George North, both big men. And then you've got, for Italy, they've gone for Carlo Canna at 12 and Tommaso Allen at 10, quite lightweight 10-12. So for all the talk about Wales playing a very expansive, fluid, wide game under Pivac, you could see those 2 come battering down those channels a little bit. And then maybe once that's happened, second or third phase, wider, with those back row boys who are all good in wide channels, aren't they? Tipperick, Wainwright and Fallator, you can all see them popping up out wide with the offloading game. So I think that may be what we'll see, certainly for the first half hour.
Indeed. I think that the fans are going to the stadium and watching in the pubs and everywhere around Wales. They're going to have a bit of patience. I mean, Italy don't win games in the Six Nations, we know that. They're not going to win tomorrow, I doubt very much. I think actually if you've got 30 quid to put on, you'll win 1 back if you bet on Wales to win tomorrow.
So plus margin is more our first try score.
Exactly. But there'll be quotes on the website of you guys later and in our papers tomorrow about that we spoke to Johnny McNichol ahead of his debut, and he was saying that obviously having played for the Scarlets for a number of years under Pivac, that they are going to try and score tries and things like that, but it will take a bit of time. So hopefully it's not sort of 45 minutes, 55 minutes of frustration. Hopefully they put it to bed early. And then, I think after 80 minutes tomorrow, that's the honeymoon gone. That's it, isn't it? One Barbarians game, Italy game, and then that's Dublin away. That's where the real meat starts.
It is. We'll probably come back to predictions at the end. So should we talk about the other game, or should we have questions?
So we'll take a few questions because they're on Wales, and then we'll head on to the other game. So Steve Jenkins says that Wales are only 3rd favourites with the bookies. Is that fair, seeing as they are defending Grand Slam champions?
The interesting one with the bookies, Will, is that France are actually 4th favourites. Yeah, I came away from the Six Nations launch asking loads of people, including yourself, how you view the prospects, and France came out on top as the ones that the most like. I think you were the only one who went for Ireland.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
the only one.
I didn't see that. I was written down. I was like, I've got that.
You're the one. So I don't know. I mean, I can't quite get my head around the France thing because I didn't think. Yes, they gave Wales a very hard game in the quarterfinal, but generally, I didn't think they were fantastic at the World Cup. A lot of young new faces coming through. I think there's certainly potential for that squad to grow, but for them to be a lot of pundits' favourites of the France, I was quite surprised. For me, looking at what happened in the World Cup in terms of the best performances from the Northern Hemisphere, clearly they came from England, Australia in the quarterfinal, New Zealand in the semi. For me, they're the favourites, but it's all to be proved wrong on Sunday, I suppose, if France go and beat them.
Yeah, I think a couple of things to say. I think, first of all, if the bookies didn't make England the favourites, they might lose a whole load of money, just because lots of people would bet on them. It's not the fact that they're definitely the best side every year, it's that lots of people will put money on them, so there's an element of that. Secondly, I think almost every year we get seduced by looking at a French team written down on paper, don't we?
Yeah.
Like the back line tomorrow, for Sunday, looks incredible,
yeah.
doesn't it? They've got an average age of 25, I think, very young, and if you average out their caps as 15 per man, and I think the pack have 2 caps more than Courtney Lawes' whole career, which is crazy. So who knows what's going to happen, really? And it's classic that we say that, but I think the Sean Edwards factor is a massive thing for France. I mean, we know how brilliantly he did here over in Wales, and if he can translate what he did here into the French language, and someone like Rafa Ibanez is going to help a lot with that, I assume, then we could see the sort of new regime bounce with them.
Didn't Galtier say that he told Sean Edwards that they basically copied a lot of what Sean Edwards had done with Wales during the World Cup, so he's got a nice starting point there, hasn't he?
They didn't really do it in that quarter-final though, did they?
We were asking,
first 60 minutes they did a lot better than Wales.
We were asking Jonathan Davis, Jiffy, as our viewers know, for his thoughts on what Sean Edwards would say and how his French should be coming along, and he said, well, basically a grunt is a grunt in Wigan or Welsh or in France. But I think he also said that Jiffy won't suffer anybody not asking him. So Sean won't suffer people not doing what he tells them. So it would have been fascinating to see what those early training sessions with him in France were going to be like. But I guess we'll see how effective it is come Sunday. But it is interesting that you've gone for Ireland, because they've really slipped under the radar.
It feels like people are sleeping on them, doesn't it?
The one thing I thought about them is that purely the Leinster factor. They haven't lost a game yet this season.
Not one single game.
So that's pretty good. They've got guys like Doris coming into number 8, and the Andy Farrell factor. I think he looks like he's kind of divorced himself a little bit from the old regime, even though he was such a key part of it. I guess it's similar with Edwards in a way, that it's all well and good being the motivator, the passion, the sort of heart, the tub thumper, as the number 2, the assistant, who can kind of be everyone's friend because you're not dropping them. But then when you become the head coach, it's how that changes things. I think that I would be amazed if they don't win against Scotland tomorrow. Then it's Wales. To be honest, if I was betting on it now, I'd say that Ireland would win that. But who knows what will happen over the next week or so with injuries and things like that.
It was interesting because they've both got new caps at number 8, haven't they? Because we in Wales have seen an awful lot of Caelan Doris over the last couple of years, because as you know, with Leinster, they tend to use the Pro 14 to bring a lot of youngsters on, plus resting some of their senior players for Europe and international level. So the likes of Doris have played a lot, and every time we've seen him in Wales and against the Welsh regions, his carrying has been so impressive. He's now kicked on to be first team for Leinster in Europe. He's been brilliant there. And a lot of the Irish journalists I spoke to in the launch, they were really saying, if he gets a chance, watch out for this guy. Well, he's got the chance. And Haney, isn't it? The Edinburgh, have you seen much of him?
Hardly any at all.
He's come from Australia, born in Australia. He's sort of done the rounds with a few different clubs, and it's a real, it's funny, Scotland, they haven't seemed able to nail down that back row, that number 8 spot in particular, for a while, have they? Because we used to have the situation, we had the Bees playing, it was Barclay playing the BT,
Blake Thompson was in and out.
Well, I'm surprised that Blake Thompson isn't in the squad.
Exactly.
And I think he's played, since he's got over his concussion issues, I think he's been very good for the Scarlets. It's good for the news for the Scarlets that he hasn't gone to Scotland. So it's interesting to see what Henny is like in the back row for Scotland. But I tend to agree. I think Ireland have nicely gone under the radar.
Yeah.
I think a good solid win, and then they've got Wales the week after.
Because they've kept the experience, haven't they? But they've just peppered in just
Rob
a few sort of new caps, obviously.
My namesake on the bench, Ronan. My boy Ronan Kelleher.
Is there any link there? You checked?
No, I don't think so. I thought there used to be with Byron Kelleher, who was scrum half as well, but I don't have a lot of Maori in me, unfortunately.
Have we got another question?
Yeah, we've got more questions. Graham Edwards asks, what have you guys made of Wayne Pivac? How different is he to deal with from Warren Gatland? I thought I said difficult there.
Can I start? Cause,
you go first.
You guys have probably longer term dealing with Warren. But I felt like in the last couple of years of him, he knew he was going. Everyone knew he was going. There was a kind of, let's enjoy the last couple of years of Gatland. And he really relaxed. That there wasn't as much tension. He was a bit more... I mean, he threw a lot of grenades in press conferences generally, but it felt like he was loving it a lot more at the end when he knew his time was up. I think based on yesterday's, I don't know if you can call it a performance, but his press conference, there was quite... cautious with what he was saying. Pivac, yeah. I'm sure he'll grow into it, but clearly, if it's going to be your first game you don't want to start throwing punches immediately. And also, it's Italy as well,
Exactly.
so
You look.
maybe when it gets to an England week or something like that, it'll ramp up a little bit.
We had 5 years of Wayne as the Scarlets, 4 or 5 years, and he's quite different to Warren. He doesn't really throw grenades. He's quite measured. He's great to have a chat to about rugby. I mean, he's got, he's been through a real interesting life. His life as a policeman, then moving on, he sort of steps into the Auckland situation after Graham Henry. Then has time in Fiji, some great stories he tells about the Fijian rugby and how that was set. Then turns up at the Scarlets as assistant to Simon Easterby. Easterby then goes to Ireland. He takes over, and I think teething problems early on whenever you're going anywhere new, taking over, but gradually brought Stephen Jones in, gradually built this style up, and kind of peaked in that season where they won the Pro 12 out in Ireland, and you can see the way he wants to play. I think he's handled the media side of it and the communication side of it very well. I think it was impressive the way in which he made an effort to contact all those players who he left out of the squad. Like he rang Jamie Roberts. Now Jamie's not played for Wales since I think more than 2 years ago. And yet he made the effort to speak to him and explain it to him. And I spoke to Jamie about it, and he thought that was good. He didn't have to do that, and that shows. I think he's quite hot on that man management style of thing. And he'll be good about explaining himself. And I think when he was at the Scarlets, it's no secret that an awful lot of the coaching was done by Stephen Jones. Now Stephen's there again, and I think the way that they want to play, it'll be quick, passing quickly, whenever there's any turnover ball, through hands quickly, get it into space, off the turnover ball. And I think, as I say, probably first phase, you will look to use the size. So I'm fascinated to see how it transfers onto the pitch. But as a person, and in terms of the way he's handled himself so well, I'm pretty good.
He's cracked a few jokes. At the Six Nations launch, he was taking the mickey out of Alan Wynne-Jones, which could be a bit of a dangerous prospect sometimes for us, at least. But I think, generally, I wrote a sort of long-winded background type piece that I'm sure you guys have done as well for the Mail on Sunday last weekend. And as you said, lots of the people you speak to always point out the man management side of things. The sort of ex-copper in him comes out, and he's very good mediator and dealing with situations and treating people like adults and treating people differently, which also is what Warren was so good at as well. He's such a good galvaniser, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that Wayne said, which I quite like, is if it isn't broke, don't fix it. And he says, like, I've come in, the defence is good, the set piece forwards win me decent ball, there's good discipline in terms of penalty. What probably needs to be expanding is just to evolve the attacking game. And he came into the Scarlets looking to do that, but as he says, that doesn't happen overnight. I suppose the benefit is he has quite a few personnel, coaching and players who he has worked with at the Scarlets before. But I think he acknowledges that to get that sort of style of play going is going to take a little while. So, the Barbarians was one stepping stone. Italy is another stepping stone, to be honest. And then you move into the big guns.
Perfect start, isn't it? If you would have picked if you were to pick your two first fixtures, I know the Barbars game was more of a send off for Gatlin, but very useful for him. I mean, they've said throughout that they've had an extra week on everyone else because they've had that week. But if you were to pick two fixtures, you'd say a Barbars game where you're going to win, but the score's going to be high, and then an Italy game at home. I mean, you can't get much better than that, can you?
Now, as the viewers will tell, there's not a Welsh accent there.
No.
You might just be a little bit English.
Yeah,
so
well,
just a little bit. So we want your insight now into Eddie Jones and the England team going into this championship.
So that's the first thing you got to know is the pause and and then So I followed Wales a lot at the World Cup, and I follow them a lot when they play their Test matches, but obviously do a lot of the Premiership stuff week to week. So at the World Cup, I kind of did lots of Wales and then a bit of England at the end because of what happened. I would say from the media side of things, the relationship is not as strong between Team England and the media as it is with Wales. Yeah. For example, just to give a bit of insight, like when you're hanging around the hotel and stuff out in Japan, guys like Hadley Parkes and George North will just say hello and have you found a coffee, lads, kind of thing. Whereas there's between some people a little more of a distance between the England guys and the press pack. But it is a very different situation. Like, you've got 7 or 8 national newspaper journalists, 2 or 3 from each. It's a bit more of a pack thing. And I know obviously Wales gets so much scrutiny over here, but in a wider sense, England get more coverage and more sort of column inches either way in papers. So there's bound to be someone that they're annoyed with. So there's that element of it. The Eddie factor is very interesting. I mean, his press conference, you can never really tell what's going to happen. Whether he's going to pick on the one. There's a couple of themes that always happen. There's one question that he will get sort of faux annoyed with.
Pretend annoyed.
Yeah, exactly. Like he'll pick on the journalist. So there was one the other week where he was asked about, would you have picked a different squad if you'd had a longer contract? And obviously that's a slightly sore point because it feels like it's on the table, but it's not quite signed yet. He's up to 2021 rather than 2023. And instead of answering the question, he just said, that's a ridiculous question. Why have you asked that? Sort of thing. So he turns it back on you.
I seem to remember, was it the warm-up game at Twickenham when Wales lost? Someone called Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
That lasted the whole press conference then, didn't it?
And obviously if someone makes a mistake, he'll pick on it and then it'll sort of release the tension and push it back on to you rather than him. So he's very savvy. Very savvy, and he knows exactly what he's doing, and he'll, like lots of people, he'll come into the room knowing these are the 2 or 3 points that I want to make.
Yeah.
So for example, the Saracen saga has been chaos over the border back home and has effects over here as well with people like Nick Tompkins, Liam Williams, Rhys Carey, those guys. But when he picked his squad, it was very close to all of it, and he picked obviously Owen Farrell, Matoji, the Vunipola, Mako, not Billy because he was injured, and lots of others. So all the questions, despite the fact he picked a Six Nations squad, were clearly going to be about that. Yeah. But then what does he come out and say? We want to be the greatest team that's ever played rugby in history.
Moves the focus, doesn't he?
And obviously there's a debate whether, is that something he's trying to get us to write? Is that a planted line? Clearly. But also it's still quite a good line.
Yeah.
So it's that debate between that's what they want us to write and they don't want us to write about this. So, but he's very clever with that sort of stuff, and he's done it before. Things like Jack Noel playing flanker and just throw out something completely crazy that he does believe in. It's not like he's making it up, but it's just something that's left field and gets everyone going, what? Hang on, we're not talking about that. What? And then he's changed the agenda.
Good ways for burying bad news.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I suppose we're coming around to that prediction time then.
Yeah, we are.
Time for you to nail your colours.
Yes.
Should we go through it game by game and see what the scores? What do you reckon?
We'll go through game by game and then we'll look at the overall tournament.
Just do this weekend's game by game. So
let's do Wales, Italy.
Should we do Wales, Italy first then?
Wales by 1 million points?
Ooh,
no. I think they'll...
You can stay.
Yeah. They're not going to lose. We know that. I think it would be disappointing for Wales if they didn't win by 20 points.
Yeah, I was with Italy yesterday, and he always probably stays before every championship, but I sensed a really positive vibe. They've got quite a lot of quality on that side, and they're very much up for this. And you got the sense of a new era there, because Parisi essentially has moved away, one farewell against England at the end of the championship. They've got a new interim coach in Franco Smith. We all remember from Newport days, us of a generation do anyway. So I thought they were quite up for it. I think Wales by 20, and I think it'll be quite tough. I particularly like the Italian back row. Of Negri, Pelledri and Bram Stein. That'll be a real fascinating challenge with the Welsh back row. Yeah, good game. Wales by 20.
There we go. I don't want to sound boring, but I also think by about 20.
God, it's so boring.
I know, it's Ireland against Scotland.
So that's over in Dublin?
Yeah.
It is. So Eddie O'Sullivan's saying it's impossible.
Well, we haven't talked
Scotland
about.
win.
We haven't mentioned the Finn Russell saga amidst everything else. Do you think that will have much of an impact on Scotland?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's one of the top 4 or 5 tens in the world at the moment, probably playing incredible stuff for Racing. They've got to find a way of mediating that situation. As much if he's been an idiot or if it's a sense of putting the foot down from Townsend and Hogg. Scotland can't afford to have someone like that not playing for them. In terms of the match itself, I'm not quite as strong as Eddie O'Sullivan. I don't think it's impossible, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Ireland will win fairly comfortably, maybe not as much than Wales, so I think 10 by 10 or so.
Yeah, I think Ireland by 8 to 12 points.
So 10.
Yeah, something slightly different. Although
6 to 14, I'll go with.
I actually quite like the Scottish backline.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You've got
someone like Rory Hutchinson on the bench.
I like the fact that Hugh Jones is starting to sparkle again, because we all remember, that famous victory that Scotland had over England. How good he was. So
2 tries.
If he comes good, I think Price and Hastings is an exciting option. I'm just really delighted to see Hamish Watson back as well, one of my favourite players. But I still think, we're around about the same as you, Ireland by 10 points.
I think Ireland might put out a statement, so I'll go a little bit higher.
Okay.
I'll say about 15.
Caelan Doris, 9 tries?
Well, I'll go with 8.
8, okay.
I think 8. I'm going to be conservative.
And then Le Crunch.
Yeah.
Le Crunch, yeah.
There's a great
interesting.
picture on one of the papers, one of the French papers, I think yesterday, of the game from the 1990s, where big melee of forwards, and Brian Moore just tweeted, "Yes, that's just after I got eye gouged." So it's probably not. You can't get away with as much as you used to out there.
Well, that video's been going around.
The video of David
Yes.
Rees being, tip tackle, who should have been a
It was
yellow
like
and a
about
red.
2 reds, wasn't it?
It would have been. So
Scrum,
it'll
French
be
scrum.
feisty.
Oh God.
Come on, what do you think's going to happen?
I've been saying for a week or so I think France are going to beat England. I don't really know why I think that, which is a stupid thing to say, but I just think England. So they've picked George Furbank at fullback, as we know now. They announced the team an hour or so ago, and I think that's a tough game.
We haven't seen a huge amount of him in Wales. What's
No.
his
He's a bit.
So
Malleable under the
I
high
watched
ball,
him
isn't he?
play in the Lyon away game
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago in Europe, where Dan Biggar was awesome.
Yeah.
And
Bigger put away for try, didn't
yeah, he did right at the end,
pacey?
which saved the game for him and Northampton. And that was a pre-worked move. And he's got very good pace. He's quite a balanced, nice runner. He actually looks a bit like a young Ben Foden.
So is he more of a fullback or a wing?
Definitely fullback, yeah. He's almost like a specialist fullback, yeah.
The
But
high ball is a bit of it.
early on in that game, he
He's
dropped a
got
couple of
technique,
balls, and actually afterwards we spoke to Dan Biggar, and he was taking the mickey, saying like, "Oh, we think we broke the record for how many balls he dropped." So the other side of that though is that the France team are ridiculously young as well. So it's not as if he's going to be playing against very experienced guys, and he's got Johnny May, Manu Tuolangi, Owen Farrell, George Ford, Ben Youngs, like that. You can't come into much more of an experienced backline. I just think that. So the last time England went there, they got killed at the breakdown, didn't they? It was the time where they couldn't buy a win. Bastereau took the mickey out of them. The Curry at 8 thing's interesting. They've tried to sort of balance it out with having Laws at 6, 3 line-up jumpers with Itoje and Charlie Ewels. But for some reason, I just think the Edwards bounce, the sort of fire and fury of it all. I just think England might lose, but it'll be very close. I think maybe 3 points, something like that.
I just think England going into the championship are the strongest team. I think France is work in progress, young, new coaching team. I think England win, but it'll be quite close.
Because this game is always, France away first up. Last 2 years, that's decided who's going to win the Grand Slam, hasn't it? Obviously, Sexton with his drop goal. Last year, obviously, Wales pulled it out, sort of out with a fire. I just think France by 2.
What we'll do, we'll just do 2 last things. If we both give our player of the championship, I remember you said, and I will have to come back to that. Can you remember who you told me? I'll give you a second to think.
I'll just say someone else.
So I'll start it. I'll say his name.
Answer.
I'll say his name right this time. I said Ben Curry. That's him, Tom Curry. Yeah. We talked about him there. I said before this team was announced, I thought he would be my player of the championship. Well, he's now been given an absolutely pivotal role, stepping into the shoes of Billy Vunipola. He'd be a different type of 8,
Pocock style.
Yeah, dynamic. But I think his carrying has improved. He's filled out. He's a really dynamic carrier. We all know how tremendous he is over the ball, one of the best in the world at that. His tackle rate is excellent. I think if he comes good at 8, England will fly with him there. I think he'll be the player of the championship.
So it all depends who wins it, really, doesn't it? Although in previous years we've had Stuart Hogg has won it twice, hasn't he? Vakatawa, someone who's been playing ridiculous rugby recently. If they do well, I think he will do well. I agree. Curry. If I was to pick, shall I pick one from each so that then we can have
and you can pick your one there.
Hedge your bets.
So I think having seen him a lot more now that he's in the Premiership, Dan Biggar has been extraordinarily good for Northampton and added levels to his game that we haven't seen before. And if Wales do well, he will be at the centre of all of it. Wales will desperately hope he doesn't get injured because there's not a lot behind him. Scotland. It's tricky. Well, they're not going to win it, are they? So that's tricky. Bring back Frean Russell. He'll nutmeg about 4 people, and then he can do it. And then for Ireland, Lama has got a great shout. But
great feet.
let's go Vakatawa. Why not?
Vakatawa,
for a French.
yeah. It's interesting,
shout.
when I did the whole pundit thing over 25, 26 people, it was interesting. It was tied between Vakatawa and Dupont, the scrum half.
Oh yeah, he's
I think, and if those two fire, they'll be crucial. So who's your player of the tournament going to be?
I don't know if he necessarily get it, because I think it's quite tough for wingers to get, but I think if Johnny McNichol clicks, he could be crucial to how Wales want to play this.
We haven't even mentioned Josh Adams, World Cup try scorer. It's funny, isn't it? Because you almost kind of expect it from him.
Exactly.
But McNichol, the key thing with me and McNichol, I think we've all seen what you can do in an attacking sense. The lines he hits, his try-scoring ability. It's just on occasions with the Scarlets, he's had a few wobbles defensively into the high ball. I'm sure he'll be tested out there. If he can come through that, then he will really be a massive asset for Wales.
Big decision next week. I mean, we're doing next week's podcast next week, but
that's fine.
Liam Williams coming back, and
well, it's interesting the way exactly Liam is. What's the vibe you've had?
Well, they've continually said that he should be available for Ireland, but having not played any rugby at all since the World Cup,
so long,
and having an ankle problem. I mean, actually, I just saw him wandering around the Vale yesterday, and he was walking normally, but he doesn't have a big strapping on and stuff like that. But yeah, coming back from an ankle injury, would you go straight into the starting team? I guess it depends how well they do tomorrow, really, doesn't it?
I suppose the thing is, the lead half, and he's playing really well at the minute, which makes the decision probably a little bit easier, doesn't it?
So we'll wrap it up with who's going to win the whole thing. I'll start. I don't think there'll be a Grand Slam.
No.
And
break a theme, that, wouldn't it, after World Cups?
Yeah, and I think just based on what they did, as much as anything in that New Zealand game, which I thought was the best performance by a Northern Hemisphere team I've ever seen at a World Cup, probably arguably ever seen, I will go for England, because I think there's so much potential in that team to go on again from there. So England to win it.
I'm not allowed to say England because I'm English.
Very
and I'll get abused. Below the line, I'll just be getting pelters. So I got to stick with my verdict. I said to you, Ireland. Why not? With
an Englishman in charge.
Yeah, but however it piles up underneath that, then God knows. I mean,
could be points difference. Couldn't
as I've said, I think England will lose the first game. I think also England might beat Ireland. So yeah, a non-slam winning.
So bonus
Irish
points could be crucial.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So you're going England, but
I'm going England.
You think they're going to win again in Paris, or?
I think they'll win in Paris. I think they'll win.
So where do you think they'll slip up?
I would love to say they slip out at home to Wales. Wouldn't that be nice?
There we go. Okay, I think if England win in Paris,
I think
it's a Grand Slam.
I could see England and Wales ending up with 4 wins, and then coming down to bonus points.
Okay. I'm going to fall for the trap. I'm going to say France.
Whee.
Why not? just for a bit of fun. That's it for today's game night. On that bombshell.
Again.
That's it for today's game line. Massive thanks for Will for coming in and being a guest. And for all the latest from Wales, Italy, you can catch it all tomorrow on Wales Online.